Well, I really have my mum to thank. My mum and my dad, neither of them played a musical instrument at all, but my mum was determined to expose me to music at a young age because she had loved music and she had always wanted to play the piano. A friend of the family noticed that I was singing in tune, which was relatively unusual for a 3-year-old. It was thanks to them telling my mum and dad, she's got a really good singing voice. I started performing piano and I started learning the flute at age 8. I was very inspired by James Galway. James Galway is a very, very famous Irish flautist, and since about the age of 5 I've been singing in school choirs. I started playing the flute in bands, orchestras, wind ensembles. From about the age of 8 going forward, I was in many, many competitions. In fact, I toured all over, well, the western part of Europe. While I was in high school, I was also attending the Royal Academy of Music. After I left the Royal Academy of Music, I went on to Cambridge University and I continued to perform there. I met Dave and eventually we got married. I moved from England and I decided that I could still be a musician and continue my music career anywhere. It started out with me just wanting to join a choir to sing. The director stepped down and she left and she abandoned the choir. I had been promised that we would perform my choral works. So I came up with the idea of continuing the choir on myself. The whole history of how I founded the Chicago Chamber Choir. So I proposed that I could continue the choir, and I did. I built it up again to 24 people, and how I built it up was I advertised in the newspaper. I did concerts, I created performances, and I did everything from the advertising, making the flyers, photocopying the flyers, putting the flyers up everywhere, to the finances of it, to calling and finding venues for us to perform in. So yes, I was the founder of the Chicago Chamber Choir. It's kind of fortunate how it all worked out in the end. And when it came time for me to step down as conductor, very sadly, reluctantly, I had to step down because my husband and I had sort of started a family a little bit earlier than planned. And even though I was no longer the conductor, and gradually over those 15 years it shaped and it evolved into much more of a professional choir. As it became more well known, it attracted really better quality singers. The more talent you get into the choir, the more complicated and ambitious music you can perform, and then the better your reputation becomes. So it gradually evolved into what it is today. So in recent times, I have finally started to have a little bit of my own free time again, and finally have the idea of getting back to choral music projects, and I hope that the Chicago Chamber Choir will continue to perform my choral works in the future. So today I'm very fortunate in that I don't have any day-to-day commitments and responsibilities with any particular organizations anymore, but I take on projects. I sometimes get asked to play the piano for weddings or funerals or birthday parties, and I'm hoping in the future to take on more composing commissions and composing projects, such as, for example, with a sad event that happened last November. My close friend, a very close friend of mine, passed away, and I was asked to perform for her funeral. And I think that music is such an important part. I mean, it's been the most important part of my entire life, that I can't even imagine a life without music at all. And I think that it can be it can be both a very intimate, personal thing. So for example, music can just be me sitting down and playing the piano for myself or singing to myself in the shower. And anybody can do that. Anybody can sing in the shower or in the car and enjoy singing songs. And that's a very personal gratification thing that we can all enjoy when it comes to music. And it's a wonderful gift to be able to have for your entire life. It never ends.